Well, it has happened. It has happened. The reign of Jesse Nelson in Lynn Haven is over. And the last of the three are gone. So big changes. Today, earlier, Mayor Jesse Nelson withdrew his legal challenge to the recall. And then he made a live stream and announced his resignation. I'm going to show you the entire announcement. I told you what he's going to say. I could have written that. But I'm going to show the whole thing. Also want to give you an update first on my thoughts about the $1 million embezzled from the TDC by the executive, by the CFO, essentially, Aaron Lee. I told you about it yesterday. But yeah, the big story though is Jesse's gone is the big story. And first person he blamed was me. That's not very nice, Jesse. Jesse pretended it was a personal attack and his family was in grave danger. I could have written this for you. So I'll let you watch. You decide. How about that? First, I posted something today. I learned a lot today about the Tourist Development Council. And, you know, that's the governing body over Visit PCB. And by the way, there was a Panama City Beach City Council meeting yesterday. And 2 members of the board, they're like, I think 9 members of the TDC board. And 2 members come from the city of Panama City Beach. Ethan Register, he was a board member the whole time money was being stolen. 1,000 transactions. $1 million in credit card charges right under his nose. He said, you know, we got to really care about public trust a lot, and this is a big deal. Yeah. Mike Jarman said something similar, and then he said, boy, it even makes you angry. Doesn't know how it happened. Shot. Let me read that to you first. I'm gonna give you my latest thoughts. On that, and then we're gonna get right to Jesse. First, let me thank 2 sponsors, and we're off and running.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Stallene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
So just before this post on the page, you're going to see this picture here. So yesterday there was a story on WMBB, and the story was about reaction from the Panama City Beach City Council. Mayor Tedimer had comments, and Ethan Register, commissioner, council member, and Michael Jarman. They had comments. They were board members, and their terms have expired. I don't know who's going to go on next. Maybe Stuart Tedimer. He wanted to go on the first time, but they really didn't want Stuart Tedimer on there. I mean, how are you going to do 1,000 transactions? $1 million with Stuart looking over your shoulder. You know what I mean? So WMBB had me in the studio, and they said, here's Bernie to tell you what really happened. And Tom Lewis was there rubbing his hands. That didn't really happen, but that's what I made there. All right, here's what my thoughts are on the TDC, and then we're going to get right to Jesse Nelson. I've got some thoughts on him as he's resigned. I'll tell you what's going to happen, but I also want to analyze why this happened to Jesse Nelson. It's important to understand. But here's what I wrote today about the TDC. So you're not going to believe the rest of the story about the TDC executive charged with stealing $1 million. The official narrative is that the TDC president, Dan Rowe, told the Bay County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Ford, that he discovered significant discrepancies between card transactions and documented expenses at the nonprofit. But when did Dan Rowe know? When did he discover that? And when did he blow the whistle? And how did Aaron Lee, the executive who was arrested, the CFO, how did he make 1,000 transactions for $1 million without TDC treasurer Yanni Petronas knowing about it? He's the treasurer. Maybe he doesn't know Aaron Lee very well, the CFO. Maybe the CFO and the treasurer, maybe they don't know each other very well. Anyway, were there any glaring clues, though? I mean, that the board members should have seen? Maybe Rolex watches, maybe fancy shoes, maybe things like international cruises, overseas junkets, and a horse or two. Two of them. Horses. How did Bay County Clerk of Courts and Comptroller Bill Kinsall, how did he miss 1,000 transactions? Or County Commissioner Claire Pease. She's the chairman of the TDC board. How did they miss all that? Hey, nice watch, Aaron. Thanks, pal. Are we going to Bora Bora again? TDC vice chairman Reggie Johns, he didn't notice anything either. They were all shocked to find such prolific embezzlement right under their noses, which brings us back to 1,000 credit card transactions out of the TDC account overseen by the comptroller. Well, Sheriff Ford says his crack investigators acted swiftly to solve the crime with the help of whistleblower Dan Rowe, who discovered the racket. And they pledged, this time, they mean it, they pledged, Sheriff Ford and Dan Rowe and Claire Pease, they said at the big press conference they had that this time they're going to make sure embezzlement like this never happens again. Sheriff Ford called Aaron Lee a longtime con man who acted alone. But how long? How long time was he a con man? Was he a con man before the TDC hired him in 2024 and gave him the bling bling credit card with no oversight? Put a pin in this at 8 minutes and 10 seconds into the show. Here's a big question. Was the credit card attached to the TDC account overseen by the comptroller? Or is there a secret and separate slush fund account? And if so, how is it funded? And is Aaron Lee the only one who knows about it? See, this is where plausible deniability comes into play, and a fall guy. And one hell of a protection racket that extends all the way up to Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. Pay County, baby, where we live, work, and play. Real fun beach. We're better together. 850 strong. More on that. And you won't. It's a weird position for the local cronies to be in because they know they've got the protection racket, but as I've always told you over the past many years, protection rackets don't last forever. Sometimes you can get away with it if you do all your stuff in a short period of time, but when you extend it, when you get too greedy, and all the bad guys with their hands in the cookie jars and the official positions, when they keep their hands in the cookie jars and someone else wants to put their hand in the cookie jar and all of a sudden they're getting pissed at each other and elections happen and positions change and someone gets ambitious, it gets a lot more difficult. And as you're going to see tonight, when the people rise up and say, we're done with this, then they can clear out the city manager, Vicky Gaynor, the vindictive and vulgar police chief, Ricky Ramey, and the biggest fraud elected official that we had, at least at this time, Jesse Nelson. All right, so let's take a look at what Jesse Nelson, let's take a look at his resignation statement tonight. You're going to see him. Here are my basic thoughts about it. First of all, it's the biggest recall in Bay County history. Recalls of municipal officials are simple, but they're hard because it takes a whole lot of tenacious dedication. You remember I kept telling you, hey, you can sign today, and then again, another round of signatures. Bernie, how many times I got to go sign this thing? You got to do it until it's done. And you did. Lynn Haven voters did. More people signed the Lynn Haven recall petitions than voted for Jesse Nelson. And remember, Jesse Nelson's campaign manager was Arthur Dumpster Diver Cullen. Very good at that stuff. He and Todd Neves, they've got a great polling system. It's pretty accurate. They'll tell you what chances you have to win. And evidently, Jesse had no chance. People want him gone. But that's just because of the lies Jesse's going to tell you. That's just because of the lies and the hate, and Satan is winning. But here's what really happened with Jesse Nelson. You had the political establishment led by, unbelievably, Sheriff Tommy Ford and the FBI at the time, Larry Borghini. They decided that after the hurricane that they were going to take out a couple people. And Sheriff Ford really wanted to install somebody on the Bay County Commission. And so they arrested Keith Baker and they installed Doug Moore. How do you install Doug Moore, Bernie? You dummy. He only won by like 0.5%. I know. I don't want to get sidetracked. I've told the story before. But I have personal knowledge that they were involved in election interference on that. Then you also, the next month, you had the indictment and arrest of the Lynn Haven rightful mayor, Margo Anderson. And then the next year, James Finch. And Sheriff Ford, again, barely got his guy in, but the establishment bring this guy, Jesse Nelson, from somewhere else. They needed a pastor, a doctor of leadership, and this was right around the George Floyd time, right? They needed to move forward together. And but Jesse didn't know anything about government or much else. And so Arthur Cullen was telling him everything to say. Arthur Cullen is also Sheriff Tommy Ford's campaign manager. Dumpster Diver Cullen. Oh, man. So they used Jesse Nelson because he had currency, but he spent it all. He spent it all because he was exposed as the fraud that he is. And he was arrogant and rude, and people didn't like it. And people started to realize that that he was a bully. He's an emotional bully. You saw what he did with Commissioner Jamie Warwick when he made Commissioner Warwick cry because he said ostracized like 14 times in 10 minutes. Oh, man. So people didn't like it. And thankfully, there is a way to get rid of elected officials in municipalities like that. And it happened. And it's a big, big, big accomplishment. I'm going to, but here's the rest of it. And you saw Sheriff Ford throw a fit when he said, this is not who we are. Get the airplane out of the sky. This is not who we are. There's just a few people on the internet lying with misinformation. What did he call everybody? Mockingbirds or something? Squawking. Sheriff Ford. But the people did it anyway. But when it became clear that the opportunist, Jesse Nelson, when they spent him all dry, when they used him all up, in a human sense, it's kind of sad, actually. But Jesse Nelson's not going to learn anything from this because he's an absolute narcissist. He's just going to continue doing what he does, gaslighting and lying, and that's what he's going to do. He's not going to learn the real lesson here, but there is a lesson, and we might as well understand it. And the lesson is this establishment, they will use you, and you have to stay in your place. And I tell people who they're grooming and recruiting, and they tell me, God, I had to do this in order to have this job, or I had to do this in order to have this position. I said, did you want to do that? No, I didn't want to do that, but I could do a lot of good in that position. You know, it's not worth your soul. It's not worth your name. You have to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to milk these grant funds and the taxpayers and lie about people and hurt people and falsely arrest people. I'm not going to be part of that. I'm going to do something good for the short time God has us here. And I'm not going to be part of that cultish, creepy stuff you guys got going on. Access to Econfina or White Western, or for me, the governor's mansion. I enjoyed it. I like the steaks and the whiskey. The booze and the broads, as they say about me, but there weren't any broads at Econfina or White Western. But I don't want to get into that right now. Is she laughing? Is she laughing? Anyway, none of that's worth it, man. And nobody believes you. But whatever. I mean, he's not going to learn the lesson. But notice how they will use people and grind them down and discard them. They're nothing but tools for this big scheme that goes on. And he just got used up, man. And somebody said, why did he drop the lawsuit today? And my answer was because nobody was willing to pay the big lawyers down south anymore. The numbers were in. The Cullens and the Neves and the WMBBs, they ran the numbers. They know that the voters are not, they're going to vote to recall Jesse Nelson. It was probably 70-30 or something. So there was no more money coming in, no more goodies coming in. You're not worth it anymore. They discarded you. They discard human beings and people. They use them up. And Jesse got used up. They tried to do that to me when they said, you can't say this on the radio, and I did my best. I did my best to not tell you. I said, I behaved myself, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So do whatever you want. There is a way to stand against it, but very few people are willing to do it. And so anyway, that's what happened to Jesse Nelson. That nobody was willing to pay for the lawyers down south anymore. Jesse can't do it. And so the lawyers, they're not going to come up here. And plus, the hearing dates were set too late. It's too short of a time period. I mean, early voting for this starts next week. So they just used Jesse up. But Jesse's mad at the wrong people because he liked that position. He liked all the goodies. He likes being a well-known. Yeah, look, man. Did you see that? It's stuck on my cup. I heard this explained one time to me, and by somebody who really knows, a lady who's been very plugged in here for decades and decades and decades. I learned a lot from her. And she said, people call it the good old boy system. She said, it's not so much the good old boys as it is a fraternity. And here's how it works. When they throw all the support behind you and they get you in there as the mayor, well, Mike Thomas, you better vote for those height increases that you hate so much. If you want your son to keep being the president of the bank. If you want your family to get those great jobs at the TDC or with the city, or maybe get a real estate license and we'll funnel some big buys through you. Or got some property on the creek. Or if it's just a pole barn you want, that's a piece of cake. Maybe a motorcycle. Maybe you add on to the house. There's a lot of things. All you got to do is be a team player. We'll tell you what to say. It's easy. And if anybody says anything to you, we'll have an AstroTurf campaign against them. But here's the problem. AstroTurf, it's temporary. It looks scary for a little while, but it's all fake. What's authentic is when people link arms and stick together and say, we're not doing this anymore. And they'll stand against this kind of stuff for years and years until the protection racket falls apart and until the installed phonies start to fall. And I spent 8 years, eight years, Mike Thomas's whole term, Mark Sheldon's whole term, going to every Panama City Beach city council meeting just about, because there were bullies there. Hector Solis was an unbelievable bully and a liar. He sued me for defamation. And I deposed him. I personally deposed him, pro se, Bernie the attorney. I'm not really an attorney. I just play one in real life. You can see that deposition on YouTube. And so there were other bullies. Mayor Mike Thomas was a bully. They're gone. Jeff McConnell, bully, gone. Mark Sheldon, bully, gone. 4 of them, boom, out. So then Mayor Teddimer was there, and we disagree on a few things, policy-wise, but I don't think he's robbing the town blind, and I don't think he's bullying everybody around City Hall. So I make my way over to Lynn Haven for a while. And boy, is it hot in Lynn Haven. And you've got the people linking arms. You've got James Finch, who you know that story. And they had enough. And they got rid of Vicky Gaynor and Ricky Ramey. And now they got rid of Jesse Nelson. Spoken wheels, there you have it. Spoken wheels to a conspiracy, there you have it. The last thing Sheriff Tommy Ford needed was not to have somebody there to keep the secrets. And now they're gone. So it'll be interesting to see what the incoming mayor, Dave Lowry, Dr. Dave Lowry, a PhD, and retired Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force. It's going to be interesting to see, it's a weak mayor form of government, that's what they call it. And, but Jamie Warwick, Commissioner Warwick, I guess, we don't talk, but I guess I've heard stories. I've seen them talk about it. He's supposed to be on board with the vision of the new mayor that the people want. And the same with Commissioner Tinder. So now you've got 3 out of 5. No telling what Sam Peebles will do or Pat Perna will do. But they've been followers. So they'll probably just do that. So now what do? I mean, are they going to be able to go in there and start, pulling tiles off the ceiling and going in the attic and looking under the desks and finding out where the receipts are and what the hell's really been going on in there? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So Lynn Haven has made a big step to cleaning itself up, and all credit goes to the residents. My goodness. And then you've got now what am I going to do? That looks like remember, I'm not there to argue with them about policy and all that. That's up to the voters and the residents. But if I see what I think is corruption, theft, and bullying, I'm heading over there. And I'm going to put my teeth in it, and I'm going to be an ankle biter until it's over, until there's some resolution. And Panama City looks like it's next. and Bay County Commission. So maybe we'll find some bullies and corruption there. Maybe the people will link arms and do the same thing. Here's what I know for sure about the local cronies. You can tell by the way they're reacting and how mad they are and how much they're lying. It's not as fun to be in a racketeer around here anymore. It's not as fun. I mean, gosh, before Facebook Live, you know, you got the news on your side, man. It was just smoking and joking, man. Everybody jostling for position in the fraternity. But now they're not having fun anymore. I mean, my God, the phone rings at the TDC and Dan Rode jumps a mile off his seat. Who's that? Hey, Dan, they want to know, how did you find out that those transactions weren't lining up? When did you find that out, Dan? And what about Yanni, Patronus, the treasurer? We got a few questions for you too. How did you miss 1,000 transactions? How did you miss a couple of horses and all the Rolex watches and the yachts? They didn't mention the yachts on WMBB. But it's in the reports. And what account exactly? What business was the American Express card attached to? Put a pin in that, 2707. All right, let's get to Jesse Nelson's resignation announcement. I'm going to play the whole thing for you. I've got a 6-minute segment and a 4-minute segment, and that's how we're going to do this. All right, I'm going to cut right to it. Here is the first. I got 2 segments, 6 minutes, 24 seconds. Here's Jesse Nelson tonight.
On this day, January the 9th, 1914, 3 students at Howard University, Washington, D.C., A. Langston Taylor, Leonard F. Morse, and Charles L. Brown, they founded the Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, a Greek letter organization that emphasizes culture for service and service for humanity. This motto is a principle I have imbibed in my efforts to serve in the local community, namely as mayor of Lynn Haven, Florida. On May 18, 2021, I did what many people told me was impossible. I was elected as mayor of Lynn Haven, Florida. It was a tough campaign. Opposing parties were throwing mud on my name, integrity, character, and personal life. However, with the support of God, my family, friends, church, community, and residents of this city, we accomplished the impossible. 2 years later, we did it again. I was reelected by a solid victory. During these past 5 years, we have demonstrated to Bay County and Northwest Florida that we are greater together because we have accomplished so much together. Although we've come a long way, there is more work to do. Yet there are individuals and groups in this city and Bay County community that don't want us to be greater together. What groups do you ask? I believe the Bernie Thompson Show, hosted by Vernon Thompson, also known as Bernie Thompson, the Beacon of Bay County, facilitated by Jody Moore and Jerry Gap Parker, the Bay County GOP, led by Chairman Tho Bishop, the Lynn Haven Neighbors, organized by Ryan Scrape, and the Lynn Haven Recall Committee with Chairman James Finch, spokesperson Zach Detweiler, field organizer Dan Johnson, Commissioner Jamie Ward, Commissioner Judy Tender, and others do not want us to be greater together. In the past 12 months, Lynn Haven has continued to swirl in turmoil because a man has a vendetta against the city and its officials. This man, along with his team of bad actors, have attempted to assassinate my character, discredit my good work, and dissuade the community and my supporters through their lies, slander, libel, defamation, distortion of the truth, and other manipulative tactics to gather petitions in an attempt to recall me. For example, I was informed by residents of our city that the recall committee and its representatives misrepresented themselves as they went door to door for petition signatures. One person told a visitor to their home that when she came to their home, she said, "I'm here because you called for a pet inspection or a pest inspection. And when she actually came, then she changed her statement and said, no, I'm really here for you to sign this petition. It's also on a video of a recall committee rep at a residence telling citizens that the state police department was at City Hall investigating me, which is not true. It was also stated I was responsible for school traffic issues and would raise taxes. The truth is that in this past budget, I was the only commissioner to initially vote no for raising property taxes and urge staff to make cuts in order to not raise taxes, which resulted in no increase in our ad valorem. Residents have reported that the recall committee was telling them that they were being asked to sign the petition because someone in their home had signed up for someone from the recall committee to visit their home, which then turned out not to be true. The chairman has continued to lie and say that Democrats planted me in Lynn Haven to protect the former city manager, Vicki Gaynor. However, I'm registered as a nonpartisan. The recall committee made a public post threatening to get more people to sign petitions if I did not vote to suspend and terminate the former city manager, Vicki Gaynor. Even Lynn Haven commissioners have participated in this political malice. I believe Commissioner Ward has worked in the shadows, while Lynn Haven Commissioner Judy Tinder has boldly used her business, Victoria's Last Bite, as a location for citizens to sign petitions. It was also stated and confirmed that Commissioner Tinder would bribe residents by offering discounts for their meals if they signed the petition to recall me as mayor. So what is all of this about anyway? Let's be clear. I have not committed any actions to be recalled as mayor. The first petition, which failed for lack of signatures, claimed I was incompetent. My multiple graduate degrees alone, that include a professional doctorate and PhD, debunked that baseless claim. The second recall petition claimed that I committed malfeasance. These allegations are first and foremost categorically false, defamatory, and concocted to stoke anger amongst the community. What we have is a recall fueled by gossip and innuendo. I have not committed a crime, malfeasance, or any other statutory requirements for a recall. So there is no legitimate or legally sufficient reason to recall me, which is why we challenged it in court. Yesterday, we received a victory in the recall battle by being granted a hearing for our motion to stop the recall. However, after our case management meeting on yesterday, I was informed through James Finch's attorneys that if the recall was thrown out, that Mr. Finch was adamant that him and his team of bad actors would not stop trying to recall me or getting me removed from this position by any means necessary. And although we are over a little more than just a little over a year away from the 2027 election, they are determined to remove me and ruin me. Members of Fitch's team have already tried to get me arrested and thrown in jail over false allegations.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that? I'm going to break down a little bit of it. The second half is just going to be unbelievable nonsense. I'll get there, but a couple of things. He frames, notice how he frames strident political opposition and fed up residents with vendetta and hate. Okay, but man, you'd think they'd come up with new stuff, but they recycle the same vendetta. Those were my Thomas' favorite words. The same people writing this stuff. He also says defamation quite a bit. Jesse doesn't know what the hell defamation is. He doesn't know much, actually. But yeah, and he's going to talk about they use their freedom of speech. You're damn right. But it was hate speech. Well, that's what the First Amendment said to protect. They can lampoon your ass. They can even be wrong about you. I mean, it is the standard for a political figure, a mayor, the standard for a mayor to prevail in a defamation case. I mean, I guess he's learning. First of all, he can't afford an attorney. And this is the key, since he's all washed up, since they used him up, which is so disgusting how they do that to people, the local cronies, but he has no more political capital, and they just discard him. But he doesn't know what defamation is. But he does it actually to ordinary people. And by the way, he did accuse, didn't he, Commissioner Tinder of a crime. He said that she, and he confirmed it, he said, was bribing residents. Look, I want him to say all this stuff. They don't want us to say things because they're authoritarian psychopaths. They will surround your home claiming AirPods, ready to plant stuff. And when you have too many cameras, they'll stage arrests of other people. They'll send drones over you all the time. They'll put flock cameras right in front of your home and your bank. Ask me how I know. Like, you want real attacks on people's family, which is where he's going next. But he says he didn't commit any crimes. Actually, he did. Oh, yes, he did. Boy, you better not say it, Bernie. I'll sue you for defamation. Say word. Say word. I'll tell you a crime. Sunshine Law violation. When he first got elected, he and everybody I'm going to name also committed the crime. Jamie Warwick was brand new. Jesse Nelson was brand new. Judy Vandergrift, Brandon Aldridge, and Pat Perno. They went to Tallahassee right after Griff Griffiths was elected as the state representative. Okay, this would have been what? August of 2022. And these dumbasses took a picture of themselves and they posted it on the city's Facebook page. You should search the Facebook page. And they posted a picture of all of them standing with State Representative Griff Griffiths. I should have saved the picture and showed it to you tonight. I'll post it. And in the picture, it says something like, and this was on the Lynn Haven city page on Facebook. It says something like, officials are here in Tallahassee with State Representative Griff Griffiths advocating for stormwater or something like that. Advocating together, talking about something that you have voted on many, many times since then. That's a crime, Mayor Nelson. Yes, you have committed a crime. Yeah, but they don't prosecute. They might now that they've used you up and you have no more political capital. Have some humility. You're a laughing stock. You did this to yourself. But I still, part of me still feels bad for him, actually, because of the way people are used around here. You stay in your place. That's how they treat everybody. It told me that. It told me that, hey, boy, stay in your place. And I said, what place? The whole place is my place. The world's my playground. The radio station said, you better stay in your place, boy. And you know what I said? I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing, man. You do what you want to do. And boy, do they ever. But when somebody tells you stay in your place, boy, you have a choice. You only got one chance. Short time God puts us here to help people. And I don't mean help people by voting to give them shit. You know what I mean. Those of you who know what I mean. All right, I need to move on. What a day. I'm getting all, why am I getting all worked up when it's a great news day? It's great, I mean, what an accomplishment. The biggest recall in Bay County history. But you know what? And I'll say it again. I'll say it to all of you. Don't let people do that to you. Don't let people put you in your place. Just for a little bit. You can have this if you do this. But what if I do what I want to do? Well, then you can't have that. Keep it. That's all. All right. Let me show you the second half. Now, this gets really ugly. This is going to bother me, actually, because I knew he was going to do this. The reason I'm choosing to resign, first of all, using God's name in vain is really bad. All right. And bearing false witness on others. He's going to accuse an adult of threatening his child. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's amazing. One thing I've noticed about the worst among us, and I think you're going to know what I'm talking about, is they always like to say, you're threatening my family, when they're the ones who do it. Nobody's threatening his family. This was democracy. This was the residents didn't want you. Too much fraud in Lynn Haven. Everybody found out Mayor Margo Anderson was the whistleblower, and James Finch is still trying to set the truth free. People believe that because it's true. And the people you are associated with, like dumpster diver Cullen and Sheriff Ford, you guys are the liars, and everybody knows it. And this was a day of reckoning. There are very few of them. But Lynn Haven residents did it. All right. So you're going to hear a lot of my family is in danger. There are a lot of families in danger. And the worst part of it, for the people who speak the truth, what did Orwell say? You know, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Very dangerous. The real people whose family are in danger from the authorities, from you so-and-sos. Your family's not in danger. Nobody wants to hurt your family. We care about them. Bozo. All right, watch this.
With all the volatile political climate in our nation, these groups have used their freedom of speech to put a bullseye on my back.
I just have to, okay. That's the only time I'm going to stop it. Does he strike you as sincere? Does he strike you as authentic as he reads somebody else's words and tries to match the face with the words? I got to tell you this story. I heard this story from, oh man, this guy's great. He teaches like CIA, how to recognize narcissists, how to recognize sociopaths and liars and that sort of thing. And somebody asked him in an interview, his name is Chase Hughes, by the way, Chase Hughes. Look him up on YouTube. Amazing. And he describes what exactly is a narcissist. And I think you're going to see some of this type of sort of just the way he's talking and the way he's making faces. So this is how Chase Hughes described a real sociopath or psychopath. And there's a slight difference. I don't want to get into it. He said, imagine a guy. It's kind of like the movie The Joker, that just absolute, somebody detached from anybody else's feelings. He said, imagine somebody is in New York, decides I'm going to walk to the pizza store. Okay. And as he's walking to the pizza store, there's a terrible car accident. And this man sees a mother holding her child who's bleeding out, and she's just crying. She's just, you can imagine, right? And he's just watching it. And he goes to the pizza store. And he orders his pizza, and he's on his way back, and most of the stuff's cleared out, and he's looking over there again. He's got his pizzas in his hand. And what is he thinking about? He's looking over there where he saw that lady with the baby just a few minutes ago, and he's thinking pineapples and pepperoni. Pineapples and pepperoni. That's what I just got for the first time. I'm so excited to try it. That's what he's thinking. And then when he gets home, after he eats his pizza, he goes to the mirror and he looks in the mirror. And he starts making faces at himself in the mirror, like the woman. And he's trying to make the faces that she was making because he has no feelings. And he's trying to reenact how maybe you navigate this world with people with feelings all around. That's a sociopath. And when I watch Jesse Nelson, ever since he's been in office, the way he gaslights people, the way and I've had long conversations with him, interviews, I've played him for you. The guy's unbelievable. But you tell me if he looks sincere or if it looks like maybe he looked in the mirror and practiced faces.
With all the volatile political climate in our nation, these groups have used their freedom of speech to put a bullseye on my back. Their emotionally charged rhetoric and propaganda have incited unwarranted rage and anger towards me, my family, my friends, and associates. The safety, security, and emotional and mental health of my family is important to me. And the more this recall draws out, the more my family feels unsafe. From the beginning of this recall, James Finch, Bernie Thompson, Jody Moore, Gap Parker, Zach Detweiler, Tho Bishop, Dan Johnson, and others have created a negative image of me that does not represent who I am. They have published fake news on social media, written false statements in letters, and used city meetings as their outlet for spreading false information. These hateful actions have caused others to make threats towards my family and friends. People park outside my home trying to intimidate my family. People have tried to enter my home under false pretense. My family is afraid to walk the trails or participate in outdoor activities in the city because of the rage that Finch and his team have stirred up against us. We have filed reports with law enforcement and increased the security on our property. My wife even reached out to the current interim city manager, Chris Lightfoot, to discuss how unsafe her and our kids feel living in Lynn Haven with this target of this recall has placed on our backs. My wife is an amazing and peaceful soul. She is my rock of Gibraltar. She doesn't deserve the hateful rhetoric or disrespect she has received as a result of this recall, which has negatively impacted her business. My son is an excellent student who loves with a big heart. However, now he fears playing alone in our neighborhood due to the hate towards my family. We've even had to go and talk to school administrators to ensure that he is safe while he's on campus. My daughter moved away for college because she couldn't continue to see our family endure this evil and offensive behavior. Additionally, she did not feel supported or protected by the city after she was verbally threatened at a city commission meeting by an adult while she was a teenager. Seemingly, hatred runs deep in the hearts of the recall committee. But this is not a battle for me, it is for the Lord. Therefore, I refuse to belittle anyone or lower myself to the level of lying or misleading anyone to gain support. As a Christian husband and father, my first and foremost priority is to protect my family, and that is what I'm doing today. So effective at 7 p.m., I'm vacating my seat as mayor of Lynn Haven. In the words of former Speaker of the House, John Boehner, I'll leave with no regrets or burdens. If anything, I leave as I started, just a regular guy, humbled by the chance to do a big job. That's what I'm most proud of, that I'm still just me. As I reflect on my tenure as mayor, I consider the sentiments of President Ronald Reagan. Are we better today than we were 5 years ago? Though we experienced some turbulence, my answer is emphatically yes, we are better today than we were 5 years ago. Just drive around our city and tell me what you see. We opened the Lynn Haven Bayou Park and Preserve, the first rail to trails in Bay County. We improved our stormwater system, upgraded facilities, updated the charter, revised ordinances, instituted a finance review committee, rebuilt the sports complex, city hall, the police station, and emergency operations center. We decreased our city debt by nearly $13 million by retiring $5 million in surtax debt and $4 million in stormwater debt. We were recognized by Florida League of Cities as a home rule hero through my advocacy for home rule during the legislative sessions. Our high schools brought home state championships, and our softball all-stars won the World Series. We became the premier city in Northwest Florida and have been recognized by worldatlas.com as one of the top 10 best places to live in Florida in 2024 and 2025. We really are greater together. It has been my honor to serve as your mayor. I am proud of what the community has accomplished together and proven that we are greater together. But now it is time for me to take care of my family. God bless you, and God bless Lynn Hagan.
All right. All right. So just a couple of things. First of all, my prayer for Jesse is really that he finds peace and he finds himself. And, you know, I'm not going to hold my breath for it, but I really do want that. I really do wish that there was some humility and introspection and less projecting of what you really think about people. Nobody wants anything but the best for your family. You don't want to hurt ours. Oh, you just wait. You just wait till the court case continues on. But we just want the best for you, but you can't be there. And as far as being upset that we use our freedom of speech, that's what we do, Jack. That's what we do. We find bullies like Mayor Mike Thomas, like Hector Solis. We got a long history of this. Like, I mean, it goes back to Alan Boyd. Do you know Alan Boyd? Jeff McConnell, Mark Sheldon, you. And that's what we do. And now you're not a public figure. And your name may come up when we're talking about public figures. But now we, as the people who are supposed to be served, not with stuff, but with you guarding our rights and applying the law equally and not covering up for each other and hiding secrets and gaslighting the people and acting as though we're impeding on your time. That's our meeting. Bernie, you don't live there. Told you already. You can't put me. Bernie doesn't go. Bernie cannot be assigned to a place. All right? I'm everywhere. And don't let them ever assign you to a place either. But that's really my prayer, is that he finds peace and that he becomes comfortable in himself and he can be without having to try to gain access or impress everybody. And here's another thing, by the way. When you want to look at the ugly characteristic of narcissistic behavior, this is a really big one, okay? And you've probably at least had friends like this that are no longer your friends, or family members or spouses. Somebody who never, ever admits they're wrong. Can you find I'll play him if you can find him. Find a clip for me of any of them that I named saying, damn, I was wrong about that. I need to try to fix that. They can't do that. Sometimes you'll hear somebody say, well, I apologize because I thought I was wrong, but it turned out I was right after all. I was right after all. And only people like that can say it's false and misinformation. Anybody, by the way, if you use the term misinformation, please stop. I'll laugh at you. I'll laugh my ass off at you if you use that word, because you don't have the monopoly on truth. You don't know what's true and what's not true. The best we can do is pursue it with humility and curiosity and determination, like the Bible says. What does it say? Wisdom, discernment, understanding, discernment, and wisdom. Understanding, discernment, and wisdom. Pursue them like riches. Don't pursue political seats or access like their riches. That will kill your soul, man. Understanding, discernment, wisdom. Pursue those like they're riches. And when you're wrong, make it right. It's not always everybody else's fault. All the bad shit I've done, I mostly did it myself. I can't believe this show's turned into this. It's supposed to be such a happy show. It's a Friday. All right. Anyway, I am happy. I am really, really it feels almost like a release, right? All the hard work. And I mean, all of you who did that, you must have felt like it was never going to end. You must have felt like you getting onesies and twosies on the petitions. And man, we got to do it again. And I'm not feeling so good. And this seat's awful hard. And did I get this right? And all of that stuff. You did it. You did it. That's democracy. And that's what the authoritarian psychopaths hate the most. They hate that you can say what you want. You can express yourself when you have contempt for all of this corruption. You get to say so. And there's nothing more precious than the human right of being able to say what you think and hear things that you either agree with or don't. The freedom of speech, especially on matters of public interest. And it needs to be wide open. And that's the whole purpose of the First Amendment. If you think people are expressing hateful stuff toward you, welcome to America. We're allowed to do that in America because we're allowed to express ourselves. And you know what? You lost the argument. You lost the argument, which is why they want to bring in, the censorship, and they can't say that, and I'll threaten to sue you for defamation. Don't be that stupid. Don't bring more pain upon yourself. All right, I need to go celebrate. I feel so intense. Did you hear about the guy? I'll leave you with this on a Friday. Did you hear about the guy who went to the shrink and he said, "Doctor, I feel too tense. I feel too tense." And the doctor said, "I looked at it, and I think you're a wigwam and a teepee." I just want to thank the Unknown Patriot for your support, as always. And all of you who throw a tip in the tip jar, thank you, thank you, thank you. Crowdfunding is how I do this. And patreon.com/Bernie Thompson, as little as $5 a month. It's easy. It's anonymous, and you can quit at any time. Tomorrow is when I'm going to send the weekly email, the newsletter. And I highly recommend you go to bernie.substack.com. It's free. Put your email in there. It takes 20 seconds, and you will receive tomorrow's, and you won't want to miss it. It'll have all the shows and it's like in one place. All the shows, Facebook posts, TDC stuff, all in one place in the newsletter email tomorrow. And you don't even need Facebook to watch the shows there in that email. It's all embedded. Bernie.substack.com. All right. With that, congratulations. And I will see you soon.